I understand that a lot of you are still upset about what happened at the 2015 Royal Rumble. I'm not going to change your minds about it. It is what it is. Ultimately, you'll get over it. But for the time being, you have reasons that you feel you should be upset. And in some ways, I understand it and I respect it, even if I don't agree with it. But one of your big concerns, I feel, is the fear of what would happen with the Daniel Bryan come WrestleMania time. And I think that's a lot of what's guiding this, whether fans want to touch on this or not, or acknowledge it or not. I think it's fear. And fear is a very powerful motivator when it comes to human behavior. But now, as the week has kind of gone along, and there seems to be a change in shift in momentum, if you will, it seems like a lot of you are trying to take a negative and potentially turn it into a big positive by really wanting to see Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler at WrestleMania. And it also is starting to seem like there may be a certain amount of momentum where the WWE may very well potentially head in that direction. So now, for a lot of you that love Daniel Bryan, that also love Dolph Ziggler, you're looking at this and you're saying, this is going to be great. This is going to be an FU to the WWE. This is going to be our match, our moment in time, and we can all circle jerk to the 5-star awesomeness that is going to be Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler because they are two of the very best motherfucking wrestlers in the world. I'm just wondering, though, do you really want Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler at WrestleMania? Look, I understand that in terms of the good aspects of this is probably one of your dream WrestleMania matches. You didn't get CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania one-on-one. Well, you could get Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler, and that's a nice consolation prize for a lot of you. I also understand the big positive out of this coming in the form that it ensures that Daniel Bryan wouldn't have to face Sheamus again at a WrestleMania. You saw what happened at 27. That wasn't a good thing. 28 was even worse. You most certainly don't want to see that happen again at 31, especially if Sheamus is coming back as a heel. You already know what direction that's going down. I understand that one, and I definitely get that one. And I also realize that a lot of you view this as a very big positive because it gives Ziggler a featured spot at WrestleMania. And working in a program with Daniel Bryan would definitely do that. Hell, it ensures first and foremost that Ziggler would even have a WrestleMania match. And on top of that, not only would he actually have a WrestleMania match, but he would have a WrestleMania match against a credible, viable, legitimate top-flight WWE performer, giving Ziggler himself a featured spot at Mania, and you think that's a good thing. For Dolph Ziggler, it most certainly is. And this has the chance to be that timeless type of classic, great mid-card match that I always feel a WrestleMania needs. You know, I've always felt a WrestleMania really works well when you have that great mid-card match, and in particular that mid-card match that doesn't necessarily revolve around a title. It just revolves around Performer A, Performer B, and what happens when they get in the ring. You think about like Shawn Michaels, Chris Jericho at WrestleMania 19 as an example. Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle at WrestleMania 21 is another example. Just two guys going out there and wrestling and kicking ass somewhere in the middle of the show. That elevates the profile of that show. That helps the profile of that show tremendously. It helps so many things involving that show. And you look at Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler, and you see the very real possibility that that could be what happens here. And it also allows WWE, from their standpoint, the chance to contain Daniel Bryan and Dolph Ziggler into one match and let the fans get all that crap out in that one match and contain everything in that one match. So that way they force the fans to go amongst each other, fight amongst each other, be against each other, and then the WWE could go off and do whatever the hell it wants to later on in the night. There are positives. I won't dispute that. You know, it could do a lot of good things, but here's the concern I have. We are dealing with the WWE here. Let's be really honest. If Daniel Bryan is wrestling Dolph Ziggler at WrestleMania 1 year after he beat Triple H and then tapped out Batista to win the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, what does that say about how the WWE views Daniel Bryan? That they would take one of their hottest commodities, one of the most popular commodities, one of the biggest drawing commodities, one of their most over commodities, and frankly, waste him on Dolph Ziggler. What does that really say about the WWE and the way they view Daniel Bryan? And if you're going to sit there and say, well, that's great, it means Dolph Ziggler is going to be elevated and it's going to increase his profile. I mean, what makes you think all of a sudden now, after all these years, that the WWE is going to be bothered with trying to establish a Dolph Ziggler character? Like, I ask this seriously. Who the hell is Dolph Ziggler? What the hell is there in terms of a character? What is there to really, truly get behind other than the overselling in average to solid matches that he does? What else is there? Where are the layers? Where is the depth? You get a lot of that with Daniel Bryan. You get almost none of that when it comes to Dolph Ziggler. Let's call it how we see it. And this would be the guy that the WWE views would be the best possible opponent for a Daniel Bryan. It would be freaking Dolph Ziggler. The guy that's so often the case, they make secondary in whatever he's involved with, saddling him with AJ Lee, saddling him with Vicky Guerrero. It's just Dolph Ziggler always plays second fiddle. Think about that. Does either guy really benefit from this? Because if Daniel Bryan wins this match, from a kayfabe standpoint, he beats Dolph Ziggler. What the fuck does that matter? What the hell does that mean? And then if Dolph Ziggler wins, okay, what does he really benefit? Yeah, he beats Daniel Bryan, that's all fine and good, but he's still going to have no character, and the WWE's still not really going to get behind him, and it's most certainly not like they're going to sit there and really do anything to build off of the momentum of him beating a Daniel Bryan at WrestleMania. So what does it really accomplish here? I mean, furthermore, would the dynamics of a feud between these two really work? I just don't know. Because if anything, it would run the risk of just being face versus face and not the right type of face versus face matchup. They would try to package it as this epic, awesome, let's go tear the house down type of WrestleMania match. But this would literally be a standpoint where Daniel Bryan would far, far outshine Dolph Ziggler. And it would clearly establish the difference between these two guys. And maybe that's what you need. And maybe that's what you need to see to fully understand. But would it actually make for good television leading up to WrestleMania? I think that should be a legitimate, significant concern of all of you that are so hyped up and happy for the possibilities of this match. Furthermore, if you really think about this, this is Daniel Bryan. This is Dolph Ziggler. For all you know, this match could be the curtain jerker at WrestleMania. Many of you are going to sit there and say, this is going to be the match that tears down the house and nothing else can follow. Well, if that's the case, that's not a good thing because you want to build up your event and crescendo at the main event, which is something oftentimes in recent years the WWE has missed the boat on. See Flair Michaels at 24. See Taker Michaels at 25. Just two examples of that. See Hogan Rock at 18 for another example of that. Not getting the main event right, having another match really steal the thunder out of the show, and it hurts the rest of the event and hurts the overall profile of the show. Do you really want potentially the best match on the card from an in-ring wrestling standpoint where there's going to be flips and kicks and skips and whoop-de-woos and no selling in, overselling and false finishing galore? Do you really want that to be the curtain jerker of your biggest show of the year? Does that really make sense? Is that really a wise thing to do here? And why would you want everybody to potentially blow their load right away and then sit through another 3+ hours of Mania? I mean, what would that really say to you about what this company thinks about both Bryan and Ziggler if they had them open up WrestleMania? Just think about that for a second. What would that really say if it was a curtain jerker? And is this frankly really a WrestleMania worthy match? In terms of the two characters, in terms of the story you would have, in terms of the fact that you've seen these guys wrestle several times before, is this really a match that you sit there and say, by God, this has to be at a WrestleMania? Like, if you told me CM Punk versus Daniel Bryan, especially if he didn't go to the well too many times on it, was a WrestleMania-worthy match, I would agree. Because you have so many different aspects, so many different layers of the onion that you could peel off to tell a great, phenomenal story to build up to that awesome match at WrestleMania. You have almost none of those same characteristics or traits when it comes to Daniel Bryan or Dolph Ziggler. And furthermore, is this really a WrestleMania-worthy match if it's going to lead to one of these characters potentially changing and flipping to the other side, whether it be Dolph Ziggler or in particular Daniel Bryan? This type of match to me feels like a great Intercontinental Championship match. This match to me feels like a great Raw main event. But you have a hell of a time trying to convince me that Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler one-on-one for no title is really that truly timeless mid-card WrestleMania match and is really a WrestleMania worthy match. Now, I understand that every year you'll point to this match or that match and say, was that match WrestleMania worthy? No, it wasn't. And I'll agree with you. But that doesn't mean that this one is either. Look, at the end of the day, if you want to sit there and get all excited about the thought of Daniel Bryan versus Dolph Ziggler at WrestleMania 31, I'm not going to harp on you too bad. Because you want something to latch onto, you want something to hold on to, you want something that you feel is going to really excite you. And this probably will deliver that in so many different ways. And I will grant you that at least it's not Daniel Bryan going back down the Sheamus path again. And at least for a guy like Dolph Ziggler, for as much as I don't think he's all that great, and as much as I think his character is stupid because frankly he doesn't have one, I think it's even more ridiculous that the WWE has never really tried to establish one with him and has never really given him as much of an opportunity as maybe they should have. While he's gotten some opportunities and hasn't done much with them for one reason or another, I've never really felt that the WWE's gotten nearly as behind him as they should have to give him every opportunity to possibly succeed. At least here he would have a real legitimate opportunity. There would be no more excuses because this would be his real chance to shine and really show what type of player he can or cannot be for the WWE going forward. And at the end of the day, it will either prove a lot of fans right or it will ultimately shut them up where they need to get the hell off of this guy once and for all. There is a lot of good that can come out of this, I agree. But there also could represent a lot of bad, and it could bring a lot of bad. But if you want it, you're probably going to get it. And if you get it, I hope you get everything that you asked for and everything that you wanted this to be. I'm just not 100% sold at this moment that you will get what you really want out of this. And I wonder at the end of the day if you'll actually be disappointed in it.